Good day, everyone. This is the continuation of my report about the economic theory of entrepreneurship. Now let's proceed to entrepreneurs and theory of value. This is the third pre-classical economic theory. So the entrepreneurs and theory of value. So entrepreneurs play a significant role in the theory of value. So this theory suggests that the value of a good or service is determined by the individual perception and preferences of consumers rather than by its intrinsic value. So when we say intrinsic value, it refers to the real inherent worth of a good, not just what it can be sold in the market, but also uh, all about what is a good, what the good is truly worth based on its usefulness or importance, not just its price tag. So the idea of intrinsic value is a part of the theory that modern economies often disagree with. This could be because modern economies usually focus more on market prices, which can change based on supply and demand, rather than on a good intrinsic value. So the fourth uh, pre-classical economic theory is a circular flow model. Both Cantillon circular flow and Adam Smith invincible hand concepts highlight the important role of entrepreneurs in keeping the economy running smoothly. But ang kay Cantillon, ang iyahang circular flow concept, yang gina-emphasize diri how entrepreneurs play a vital role in keeping money and good flowing within the economy. Entrepreneurs identify opportunities, invest resources, and create goods and services that meet consumers' demand. By doing so, they generate income for themselves and for others involved in the production process, such as workers and suppliers. So this income then circulates back into economy through spending, creating a continuous flow of money and goods. On the other hand, ang kay Adam Smith naman na invincible hand concept, yung gina-highlights how entrepreneurs, while pursuing their own interest, unintentionally, nag-benefit po siya sa entire economy. So according to him, according to Smith, when entrepreneurs seek to maximize their profits, they are driven to produce goods and services that are in demand by consumers. Through their pursuit of profit, entrepreneurs allocate resources efficiently and ensure that goods reach where they are most needed. This leads to economic growth and overall well-being for society as a whole. So both concept ni Cantillon ug ni Adam Smith gina-recognize nila ang important role of entrepreneurs in driving economic activity, creating value, and promoting the efficient allocation of resources. They also highlight how entrepreneurs, through their actions and decisions, contribute to smooth functioning of the economy and the well-being of society. The last one is the price-specific flow mechanism. So this mechanism is an economic concept that explores the relationship between changes in the money supply and the impact on prices in economy. So it was first discussed by economist David Hume in 1754 and later expanded by economists such as ni Brown o ni Thornton in 2013. So this mechanism suggests that an increase in the money supply in an economy leads to an increased domestic spending. So as people have more money, they tend to spend more on goods and services. This increased demand for goods and services can lead to an increase in prices. So Cantillon price-specific flow mechanism limitation in modern international. So there are two limitation in price-specific flow mechanism of Cantillon. The first one, it does not apply that to the present capital flows of the country. The price-specific flow mechanism may not fully capture the complexity of modern capital flows. The second one is the theory did not explain the effect of interest rate in the banking sector that affects the flows of capital in and out of the country. The theory doesn't explain how changes in the interest rate in the banking sector can affect these capital flows. For example, if interest rates are high, people might be more likely to invest their money in that country, which can affect the flow of capital, which can affect the flow of capital. So there are three functions of entrepreneurs according to Cantillon. The first one is buying and selling products from the villager to the cities. The second one is buying and selling the products from the city to the villagers. The third one is producing goods and services in the villagers or cities. So now we're done with the classical theories of entrepreneurship. Now let's proceed to the neoclassical theories of entrepreneurship. So the neoclassical theory of entrepreneurs disagrees with the classical model in a way that classical model suggests that the value of good is based on how much it costs to produce them, the supply side. However, the neoclassical theory argues that it's not just about the production cost. The demand side, or how much people want the goods, also plays a big role in determining their value. In a closed economy, an economy that doesn't trade with others, the value of goods depends on both how much it costs to make them and how much people want them, according to this theory. So, from a neoclassical perspective, entrepreneurs need to think about how the more of a certain good consumers have, the less satisfaction they get from each additional unit they consume. It means that the neoclassical model has some flaws. The biggest one, or the obvious one, is that it assumes people always act rationally, always making decisions that will give them the most benefit or profit. Pero in reality, people don't always behave this way. Sometimes they act irrationally. They make decisions that might not give them the most benefit. For example, someone might choose to buy a more expensive item just because they like the brand, even though a cheaper option is just as good. So the neoclassical model's assumption of rational behavior doesn't always match up with what happens in real life, which is an obvious or a major limitation. So according to Alfred Marshall of 1949, so he emphasized that demand and supply determine the price and output of a good. He is saying that the price and quantity of a good are determined by how much people want it or demand it and how much of it is available, the supply. So, Alfred theories present a realistic theory of entrepreneur which incorporate demand and supply factors into a single unified body of knowledge. And it combines these ideas about demand and supply into one comprehensive understanding. So according to Marshallian theory, so entrepreneurs knows everything about the markets they're in. So if those markets are purely competitive, this means they understand all the factors that could affect their business, like what their competitors are doing and what their customers want. But this is only an ideal situation and dili siya permanente nag-reflect sa reality. So now let's go to Frank Knight of 1921. So he was the first to specify entrepreneurship function under pure uncertainty and extend this uncertainty within a general equilibrium system. So when we say equilibrium, it means balance. So he was the first one to talk about the rule of an entrepreneur when there's a lot of uncertainty. and how this uncertainty fits into an economic system where everything is in balance. Uh, and he said that in order to eliminate problem of uncertainty, uh, the producers and consumer must have a perfect knowledge. So to get rid of the issues of uncertainty, he suggests that producers and consumers know everything perfectly. This means that they have all the information they need to make the best decisions. The Marshallian theory, however, doesn't clearly explain why an entrepreneur would want to run a business that doesn't make any profit. So this is a gap in the theory uh, that still need to be addressed. Now, let's proceed to the third theories of entrepreneurship, which is the Austrian market process theory of entrepreneurship. So the Austrian School of Economics prefers to use logical thinking and verbal arguments to make their points. This is different from this is the in contrast of uh, classical and neoclassical theory of entrepreneurship, which use data and mathematical models to prove their theories. For example, let's say we're talking about the price of apples. So, kung si Alfred Marshall Ani, he is a neoclassical economist man. So, he would say that the price and quantity of apples sold are determined by how many people want apples, or how many people demand apples, and how many apples are available. He would uh, he would use data like sales numbers and mathematical models to prove this. On the other hand, sa Austrian economists, uh, nag-argue sila that entrepreneurs play a big role in setting prices. So they believe entrepreneurs use their knowledge and creativity to come up with new prices uh, that can benefit sa ilaha and also to the market. So, for example, an entrepreneur might realize that people are willing to pay for more organic apples. So, they start selling organic apples at a higher price, which could lead to more profit for them and more options for consumers. So, this is an example of using knowledge to create new economic value. So, kay ang mga tao willing man sila magpay for an organic apple. So ilang mag-start sila magbaligya og more organic apples at a higher price nga magalid siya into more profit for them, and also mas more option pod para sa mga consumers. So, the AMP or Austrian Market Process model was created by Austrian economist Israel Kirzner. So, there are five AMP model. So, this AMP model focuses on the role of entrepreneurs in the market. So, while the model has its strength, it is also received criticism. So, the first criticism was market system aren't always purely competitive. So, they can involve both cooperation and competition. So, it argues that the AMP model assumes a completely competitive market where everyone works together. Pero in reality, market system can have elements of cooperation and competition at the same time. So this criticism suggests that the model oversimplifies the complexity of real-world markets. The next criticism is the resource monopolists can limit competition and entrepreneurship. So the EMP models assumes a competitive market where firms can freely enter and exit. However, in practice, monopolies or barriers to entry can restrict competition and hinder entrepreneurial activity. So this criticism highlights the model limitations in addressing challenges posed by monopolistic market structures. The next one is fraud, deception, and taxes affect market activity. So it argues that the AMP model doesn't fully consider unethical practices like fraud and deception, which can distort market outcomes. Additionally, the impact of taxes and regulations on entrepreneurial activity is not fully addressed. This criticism suggests that the model may not capture the realities of market system affected by these factors. The fourth one is private and state firms are different but can be be entrepreneurial. So the EMP model primarily focus on entrepreneurship within private firms in a market economy. So it argues that the model doesn't sufficiently address entrepreneurship in state-owned or public sector firms. So this criticism highlights the needs to consider the differences between private and state firms and their entrepreneurial activities. The last criticism is the entrepreneurship isn't limited to market-based activities. So it argues here that entrepreneurship can occur in non-market social situation like non-profit organization or social enterprises. So the AMP model may not fully capture the broader scope of entrepreneurial activities beyond market-based competition. So Japet Schumpeter, he expanded the idea of risk bearing with innovation, and also he puts heavy emphasis on the supply side via innovation. So according to him, consumer preferences are passive and do not change automatically. In his theory of economic development, he described the development as a historical process of structural changes, largely driven by innovation. Schumpeter argued that the process change is non-stationary as creative destruction is ever evolving such that capitalism cannot be a stationary economy. So there are five historical process of change into there are five types of historical process of change according to Japet Schumpeter. The first one is introducing new product or new kind of an existing products. So this refers to introduction of completely new products or variation of existing product that offer unique a unique features or benefits. For example, an iPhone cell phone. So nana siya yung mga existing product like iPhone 14, iPhone 13, muna na siya, nag-exist na siya. And lately, they introduced na po another kind of an existing product, which is the iPhone 15. So, inana siya. Nag-offer siya og unique features or benefits kanang murag nagkatong from iPhone 14, nag-upgrade siya into iPhone 15. Now, the second one is the application of new methods of production or sales of a product. So, it involves the adoptions of innovative production techniques or sales strategies that were previously unknown in the industry. So, application of new methods, dili nang nakasanayan ng mga methods or strategy or techniques nimo sa sales or like for example, ang mga known karon is online selling, live selling, and so on. So, dili na to nimo siya i-apply, but rather mangita na po kag new methods or sales strategies, production technique nga imuhang i-apply na po nga unknown pa siya sa industry. The next one is opening a new branch of the industry. So the establishment of entirely new sectors or branches within the economy. Like for example, kung nana kay business branch dara sa Compostela, mag then magkuha na po kag another branch or another new sectors sa Monte Vista, Nabunturan, and so on. Then the next one is acquiring new sources of supply of raw materials or semi-finished goods. So discovery or utilization of new sources of raw materials or semi-finished good. Then the last one is the new industry structure such as the creation or destruction of monopoly position. So it refers to changes into the competitive landscape and market structure. So that would be all for the economic theory of entrepreneurship. So in summary, we have the economic theory of entrepreneurship divided into three, which is the classical economic theory, the neoclassical economic theory, and also the last one is the Austrian market process of economic theory of entrepreneurship. And that would be all for my report, and I hope you learned something, and God bless.